Hi everyone. Today we're going to be talking about fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. So, why do we need fruits, vegetables, and whole grains every day? Well, for one, these foods contain carbohydrates, which is our main source of energy. And these types of carbohydrates contain fiber. Fiber is the indigestible part of plants, and there's a lot of health benefits when we meet our fiber goals. But we can only get fiber from eating fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and also beans and legumes. These foods also carry a large amount of vitamins and minerals. So think about how oranges have vitamin C, and bananas have potassium, and carrots and sweet potatoes have vitamin A. If we don't eat these foods, we're not going to get enough vitamins and minerals that we need for general health. These foods also have antioxidants and phytonutrients. Those are basically fancy words to say that they have healthful components that are only found in plants that help to fight inflammation and disease. So they're good things. These foods help to lower the risk of chronic disease and cancer. They contribute to healthy skin, healthy eyesight, and they help us to regulate our body weight because they have a lot of fiber. They also have a water content, so they're hydrating, and it helps to keep us full longer by putting these on a balanced plate.
So let's start with fruit. The Dietary Guidelines for Americans 2020 stated that about 80% of the US population does not meet the recommendation for fruit. So that means only 20% of Americans are eating enough fruit. So we need to do better on this.
The bottom line is that we all want to be striving to get a minimum of 2 cups or 2 servings of fruit per day. Now, let me stress this is a minimum. Okay, if you're really looking to improve your health and follow the DASH eating plan or the Mediterranean diet, then you should be looking at having at least 4 servings of fruit every day. But given that most of the country is not meeting the minimum, we want to focus on that first. So, what counts as 1 cup or 1 serving? Well, it's a cup of fresh fruit or a half cup of dried fruit, or a half of a large apple, 1 small apple, or 8 ounces of 100% fruit juice. That would count as 1 cup per serving, but we want to have a minimum of 2, but hopefully more on a daily basis.
Now, in terms of vegetable intake, almost 90% of the US population does not meet the recommendation for vegetables. So that means only 10% of us are getting enough veggies. So this is definitely an area we want to target.
So, at a minimum, we want to be trying to get 3 cups of vegetables per day. So, a cup is equivalent to like 1 cup of raw or cooked vegetables. But if we're talking about leafy greens like spinach and salad, then 2 cups of leafy greens is actually equal to 1 cup in terms of when you're counting amounts for the day. But really, don't worry about that. Try to eat as many vegetables as you can. Fill up every plate with half a plate of vegetables. So, in summary, try to get at least 5 servings of fruits and vegetables every day. For additional health benefits and to be following more of a DASH eating plan or the Mediterranean diet, you want to be aiming for 8 to 10 servings of fruits and vegetables per day. And by doing so, you will get adequate amounts of vitamin C and other vitamins to help you stay healthy.
Now let's switch gears and talk about grains. So the new data from the 2020 dietary guidelines tells us that 98% of Americans do not meet the recommendations for whole grains. But 74% of Americans exceed the limits on refined grains. So we're getting enough grain, but we're getting too much refined grains and too little of the whole grains. So we need to swap the type of grains that we're consuming.
So, what is the recommended intake of grains and whole grains? So, for total grains, it's somewhere between 5 and 7 ounces per day or servings per day. They do talk about it in terms of ounces for whatever reason. So, 1 ounce being one slice of bread, half a cup of rice or pasta, half cup of a hot cereal, or 1 cup of a ready to eat cereal. So, in general, we need about 5 to 7 ounces per day. This is also going to vary based on somebody's medical history, somebody's weight loss goals, but just in general. Now, out of these grains, they recommend that at least 3 ounces are whole grains. Now, again, at least. So, does that mean if you're eating 3 ounces, you should just quit and the rest of the day do refined grains? No. If you can do all whole grains, that is going to have the most benefit. But as a minimum, 3 ounces per day should be whole grains. But what is a whole grain and why does it matter? So, when grains are harvested, they're harvested as a whole grain, which has three parts: the bran, the germ, and the endosperm. They even rhyme. How cool is that? So, the bran is the fiber rich outer layer. It's like kind of like a shell that protects the seed. And this bran has B vitamins, trace minerals, and of course, fiber. That's why it's brown in color. That's why Bran Flakes is a super high fiber cereal, because the fiber packs a lot of itself in the bran part of the grain. The next part is the germ. So this is a small part, but it's a very nutrient-rich core of the grain. It contains antioxidants, which are those beneficial compounds. It contains vitamin E, B vitamins, and a little bit of a healthy fat. Now, the endosperm, this is the middle layer, and this is where most of the starch is. So it contains the carbohydrates along with a little bit of the protein that's in the grain. So when you eat a whole grain, you're getting this whole nutritional package. You're getting the carbohydrates along with the fiber, the vitamins, the minerals, and these beneficial compounds. However, when you eat a refined grain, or here it's called a white grain, they're going to take away two out of these three parts. They're going to strip the bran and extract the germ and just leave you with the endosperm. So you're still eating the same amount of carbs, but you're not getting the full benefit that you could be getting because we took away vitamins and minerals and fiber. So to get more bang for your buck, you want to go for the whole grain. There's several different types of whole grains. Many people are familiar with whole wheat, but that's only one of them. Other ones you might be familiar with would be barley, oats, oatmeal, quinoa, brown rice, wild rice, farro. These are all whole grains too. And on the screen here, you see three different stamps. These are whole grain stamps from the Whole Grains Council, and they are placed on different food items to tell the consumer that that food has whole grain in it. So if you see the 100% stamp, that means that all of the grain in that product is whole grain. If you see the 50 plus stamp, it means that at least half of the grains are whole grain in that product. And if you see the regular whole grain stamp, it's less than 50%, but it meets their minimum requirements for having some whole grain. So whenever you see this stamp, it is a good thing. So look for this on boxes of pasta, boxes of cereal, on bread, to make sure you're choosing whole grains.
Let's talk about fiber. One of the main reasons that we need to consume enough fruits, vegetables, and whole grains is so that we can get enough fiber every day. So, fiber is the indigestible part of plants. It's a type of carbohydrate, but our body doesn't break it down. And when it goes through our body, it actually provides many health benefits. It helps us to have a healthy gut. It can help lower cholesterol levels, lower blood sugar levels. It can help to keep us full. So, we want to make sure we're getting enough fiber. So for men ages 31 to 50, you need 31 grams of fiber per day. Men 51 and older need 28 grams of fiber. Women ages 31 to 50 need 25 grams of fiber, and women ages 51 plus need 22 grams of fiber. Again, these are minimums and you can exceed these amounts. Now, there's two types of fiber. There's soluble fiber and insoluble fiber. Many foods are a combination of both, but they might have a higher amount of one versus the other. The soluble fiber is the type of fiber that is related to lowering our LDL cholesterol. And remember, the LDL cholesterol is the bad cholesterol. So if we eat 5 to 10 grams of soluble fiber, that might help to lower our LDL cholesterol, which would be very beneficial. So, to focus on soluble fiber specifically, you can find this in oats or oat bran or any oat based cereal, barley, nuts, seeds, beans, lentils, peas, psyllium powder, which is like Metamucil, or just the generic powder that you get over the counter for fiber, oranges, Brussels sprouts, and flax seeds. When you're reading a nutrition label for fiber, if it has 5 or more grams per serving or 20% daily value, that's a high fiber food. So when you're comparing bread and you're comparing cereals, choose the one that has a higher amount of fiber. And when you're starting to increase your fiber, make sure you're drinking plenty of water. Fiber likes to absorb water, and if you don't have enough water on board, you could get constipated.
So now let's talk about some practical ways that you can implement my suggestions to get more fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. It doesn't have to be complicated. Don't stress about it. These are some easy things that you can start doing right away. So for one, for fruit, of course you can do fresh fruit, but I'm going to show you some other options maybe you didn't think of. So frozen fruit is awesome. I eat it all of the time, especially in the winter when fruit is not always looking the best at the grocery store. So buy frozen fruit that has no added sugar. It typically doesn't have added sugar, but just make sure it says that on the bag or check the nutrition facts label on the back. The great thing about frozen fruit is it doesn't go bad. So you're not going to come home from work after a stressful day and find that there's mold on your blueberries. The frozen fruit, you just keep it in the freezer when you want to have it. You can put it on the counter to defrost, or you can put it in a Tupperware in the fridge overnight to defrost. Or if I'm having something hot like oatmeal, I'll take the frozen fruit right out of the freezer, put it in the bottom of my bowl, then put my hot oatmeal right on top of it, and it automatically defrosts it. Frozen fruit has a high nutrition value. When fruit is harvested, it is then frozen right away. So all the nutrients are retained. It can actually have more nutrients than some fresh fruit in the grocery store that actually traveled on a truck for a few weeks before getting there. So unless you're getting local fruit that's, farm to table, the fruit at the grocery store isn't always fresh when it's not in season. So frozen fruit is great. You can also do canned fruit, but you do need to make sure that it's canned in its own juice with no added sugar. This does require really reading the label because sometimes canned fruits can be in corn syrup, and you definitely want to avoid that. Another great option is dried fruit or freeze dried fruit, again with no added sugar. These are also shelf stable, so you don't have to worry about wasting money and your fruit going bad. Also, unsweetened applesauce is an option, and there's also fruit bars that are 100% fruit. The That's It bar can be found at Stop and Shop and Target, and the Trader Joe's fruit bar can be found at Trader Joe's. The only ingredients are fruit, so it's not a protein bar, it's not a meal replacement, but it counts as fruit for the day, and it still retains the fiber, which is awesome. Now on to vegetables. In addition to fresh vegetables, frozen vegetables are a great option. Again, they're frozen right after they're harvested. They retain a lot of the nutrition. So somewhere along the lines when the message got out there that frozen fruits and vegetables were not as good as fresh fruits and vegetables, that's a myth. They're fine. They're actually great because they don't go bad and they help you to achieve your goals because you can always have them in the freezer. You're not going to just run out. So these ones specifically are ready to go in the microwave right in their bag. So look for things that say steam in bag, steamable, steam fresh, steam ready. That means the whole thing directly in the microwave. Now, the Steam Fresh bags do cost a little bit more since they're in a high tech bag. So, if you want to save a little money, just buy regular frozen vegetables in a regular bag and then invest in a steamer basket or use like a porcelain bowl with saran wrap to steam the vegetables yourself in the microwave. And of course, you can steam them other ways. You can steam them on the stove. You can actually roast frozen vegetables. I roast frozen broccoli all of the time. It comes out very, very soft. So you have to, like soft vegetables, but it is a great option as well. Another option for vegetables is to use canned vegetables, but only if you can find the no salt added varieties. So there's a few examples here. Now let's talk about putting them all in a sheet pan. If you want to do fresh vegetables, then do it, but make your time worthwhile by cooking a bunch at one time. So, this weekend I did sweet potatoes and broccoli on one sheet pan and it filled up the whole pan. And now I'm going to eat it for leftovers for the rest of the week, probably for at least 3 days. So, if you're going to do the cutting and the chopping, make a bunch at one time and just chip away at it over the course of the week. You do not need to cook the vegetables every single night. And what about salad? Throwing together a mixed green salad is pretty easy because it already comes pre washed and ready to go. So you can buy it in these bags or plastic containers. It's already ready to go. You just grab it, put it in your Tupperware, and you have a salad to bring to work. Now, obviously, you want to add some protein on that. And if you wanted to, you could add some other vegetables to make it a little more exciting. But even if you just wanted some greens on your plate or you're having like a pasta dinner, but you want to add some green color into the mix, just grab a handful of the pre-washed salad and you're good to go. Now, if you do prefer fresh vegetables, you can save time by buying them pre-cut. So you can buy pre-cut peppers, pre-cut onions. You can buy like the vegetable kebabs that you put on the grill. You can buy zucchini that's spiralized. You can also buy baby beets that are steamed and peeled, ready to go onto a salad or a plate. I love these. You can also buy riced vegetables like riced cauliflower, and there's also a riced broccoli. So we don't have to spend hours, cutting, chopping, spiralizing. We can buy these convenience foods if we're able to do that. So now let's talk about whole grains. Of course, you can cook your grains on the stove, but for those that are looking to do it a little bit quicker and looking for that convenience factor, there are microwavable whole grains. The ones shown here on the left is 90 minutes in the microwave, and on the right, those are 3 minutes. On the bottom, those are quick boil bags that are ready in 10 minutes. And if you look close, you'll actually notice the whole grain stamp on each of those packages on the bottom row. So it does not have to take 45 minutes to get whole grains on your plate. You can also use a rice cooker or an instant pot to make whole grains and just set it and forget it. I also want to mention that you should be buying plain whole grains, meaning not pre seasoned, not with added salt. So after you cook them, you can flavor them yourself with some olive oil, some garlic, some pepper, maybe some Mrs. Dash. But if you're buying the packets that are like the garlic seasoned quinoa, it can be very, very high in sodium. So look for plain grains and season them yourself. So let's talk about some ideas of how to incorporate more fruits, veggies, and whole grains into your daily routine. So think about adding berries to your yogurt. Instead of just eating plain yogurt, add fruit to it. Choose 100% whole wheat toast over white bread when you're making a peanut butter and jelly or an egg sandwich. Scramble vegetables into your omelet. The frozen peppers and onions that are already chopped up are a great option for throwing into an omelet in the morning. You can also add fruits and veggies to a protein shake or a smoothie. For snacks, grab a piece of fruit. No preparation needed. That's the easiest snack. Grab raw pepper sticks, carrots, cherry tomatoes, and dip them in something like a white bean dip, hummus, your favorite low sodium salad dressing. For lunch and dinner, always remember to fill half of your plate with vegetables and add vegetables in wherever you can. So, say you're having a sandwich and it's just going to have like tuna fish and a slice of cheese on it. Well, add more vegetables to it. Add tomatoes, add lettuce, add onions wherever you can. If you're making a homemade pizza or even buying pizza, get veggies on it. Buy whole wheat pasta instead of white pasta. Make homemade chilies, soups, and stew, and add in lots of vegetables into your chili. Throw your vegetables on the grill. That gives them a great flavor. Roast them in the oven with lots of garlic, maybe some balsamic vinegar, and keep those microwavable veggie steam bags in your work fridge so they're easily accessible and you can always have them available to have half a plate of vegetables at your meal. By making half of your plate vegetables, that will help you to meet the recommendation of at least 3 servings of veggies a day. So, in summary, remember to eat the rainbow. Not this rainbow. But this rainbow.